Look at that lovely drawing Mr. Lavin put in for you. Oh, looks like we got a couple misclicks there. Is it half or is it double? Well, it's half. Look at the diagram, right? Little gear is going to have to turn twice as fast for one rotation of this big gear. I think we got that. Let's move forward. Stuff. Or is it? Yeah, so each cycle is 2 rotations of the crankshaft. In each cycle, we have 1 ignition event. So, there you have it. And if anyone doesn't understand the answer, say, please explain. Yeah, very good. So extracted from the hot gases, meaning we've ignited our air-fuel mixture on the power stroke. All those gases expand from the heat. And we use most of our energy from that. We open that up. Okay, to get those exhaust, those burnt gases out the tailpipe. We don't need them anymore. We've used you. Now get out of here. Not so obvious. We got to think about this or look at the diagram. Yeah, intake stroke. Okay, the exhaust closes. Where are we here? Well, we're on the intake stroke. Very good. Exhaust valve, not the most obvious answer. The exhaust valve opens on the power stroke, right? It's either one of these two because that's where the line goes through. Again, on your P2, you're gonna put an X or a little star this part of the spiral telling me, the exhaust valve opens here, not here. Okay, I didn't actually talk about scavenging or volumetric efficiency. But anyways, most of you got it. That is where okay, that valve overlap, right? That's when both valves are open. There, right? There's our valve overlap. Both valves are open. It kind of happens at the end of the exhaust stroke, the beginning of the intake stroke. So we're in the exhaust stroke, we're pistons coming up, we're pushing our garbage out the tailpipe, and we open. These are both open. As the inertia comes out, we're using that inertia to help draw in the new intake fuel charge. Scavenging is like getting every little bit we can, right? We're scavenging for scraps here. We're using exhaust inertia to help bring in the intake charge. Volumetric efficiency is another term for getting use of all of our air fuel charges we can. So by the engineers found out, instead of opening right at top dead center, right at bottom dead center at the beginning of each stroke, if we lead and lag those valves, we can get the best scavenging, the best volumetric efficiency. Scavenging is also when we're, oh shoot. Not only does the exhaust help pull the new intake in, but the new intake charge helps push the exhaust out. So it's more efficient for getting the old stuff out and getting the new stuff in. Okay, so that's too little clearance. Oh, good. Let's go to the diagram for this. Okay, so too little clearance. I can tell you right now, your valve clearance is 60 to 200 thou is what should be in there. So too little, we're saying, is something smaller, right? So if it's too small, when these parts heat up, maybe this valve is actually slightly off its seat, always letting leakage happen. Now where backfiring comes in. You know what backfiring means, everyone? Backfiring after firing. I should stop and talk about that. Oh, Bongo doesn't switch over anymore. Okay. Thanks, Bongo. Being such a bongo. Okay, here's a nice space to draw in. Okay, I'm just kind of drawing intake and exhaust to make it the same, right? So we can have two things, and backfiring and after firing. This may get a little confusing if you start Googling this, because some people call backfiring going out the exhaust, some people call backfiring going out the intake. For this course, we've kind of decided backfiring is when the ignited air fuel mixture ignites the incoming air fuel mixture and we get burning up our intake system. That's a backfire. Okay. After firing, maybe there's some unburnt air fuel mixture and the exhaust valve opens and it continues to burn in the exhaust manifold and out the tailpipe. We're going to call that after firing. Okay, that makes sense? Well, when cars have flames shoot out the back, we'd call that an after fire, right? Because this eventually, we have other cylinders coming into our exhaust manifold and eventually comes out a tailpipe, right? Goes out the tailpipe. If there's air fuel mixture still burning in the exhaust pipe and flames shoot out the back, that's an after fire. If the intake valve opens at the wrong time, like maybe our valve lash is set too low and this valve is off its seat the whole time, well, as this gets ignited in here, it can sneak past the valve and burn the oncoming air fuel mixture. It goes, what else is here? We have a throttle valve, maybe we have a carburetor. Right? The carburetor adds fuel, it atomizes the fuel in here. We have air fuel mixture, but if it gets ignited, all this is burning, can burn past the carb, and we can have an air filter at the front, it can burn all the way, and can burn the backside of our air filter. Whenever we inspect these engines, we take this air filter out to see if it's dirty, for one thing, if we need to replace it, just like in your car. But we inspect the backside to look for any burn marks to see if our engine's been backfiring. If this is fuel injected, like your engines, the fuel nozzles right before your port and air fuel mixture, if it was a backfire, it'd only really affect the immediate area here. But if it's a carburetor, we introduce the fuel a lot sooner and the fuel's mixed with the air for a longer amount of time. Backfire, after fire. Backwards up the intake, after fire goes through the exhaust. So insufficient clearance, say we have no clearance, then the engine heats up, well, the valve's going to be open the whole time. I sure can. Intake valve, exhaust valve. Okay, what's on the end of this valve on your engines? we got rocker arm. That goes down to push rod, right? Let's say down there somewhere. We got lifter, camshaft. This clearance here, I don't know, where do we measure it? We measure it right up here. Too little, right? This thing's going to be off its seat, the valve seat. So the valve face is off the seat. And in our normal Otto cycle, we have ignition event, right? Fire burns in the cylinder. Oh, but wait, this valve's open. And if we have carbureted or fuel injected, now the air fuel mixture behind the valve is going to start catching on fire. And we get a backfire. You may hear like a popping or a big bang from a car. Same thing with an airplane. This ignition inside the intake manifold, the pressure wave makes it way out the front, and you can hear a backfire. Okay, you can also hear an afterfire if it comes out the tailpipe and shoots some flames out the back. Okay, when you shoot flames out the back, your mixture is probably too rich. There's too much fuel. So normally, the perfect amount of air fuel mixture is just the right amount to push this piston down. And before the piston gets to the bottom, we open that exhaust valve. Hopefully it's all burnt by then and we just expose the burnt gases. But if there's too much fuel in there, too rich, the fuel's still burning and then continues to burn out the tailpipe and creates an afterfire, which has a pressure wave too, and you hear that popping sound or bang sound. Is that cleared up, Andy? Move forward. Oh, the F model takes a lead. Okay, here's the opposite. What if there's too much clearance? Okay, good. You got the valves closing early. And we're also going to have high cylinder temperatures. Okay, most of you got it. Improve exhaust scavenging. Well, the scavenging doesn't really have anything to do with the ignition. It has to do with the valve timing. It takes time. I mean, we're slowing time down to milliseconds here because that's the only time frame that's going to make sense. But we ignite the air fuel mixture. It takes time for that flame to reach the piston. So in those short milliseconds, it's all to get the most force out of our combustion event onto our piston at the right time. If we have it too early, we're going to smack that pressure wave onto the piston as it's still coming up. If our ignition is too late, we're going to be losing a lot of that force because the piston's already heading down before the pressure wave catches up to it. it's a long timer. The compression event, yes, both valves are closed. Most of the compression event. Right, there's a compression stroke here. Exhaust valve opens back here and then will open the whole time. Oh wait, right here. Exhaust closes here. Intake closes, and then it opens over here. Last question. Oh, look at that. Are they getting compressed? We've already passed the compression stroke. We're on the power stroke. So the piston's coming down. As they expand, right, as all gases expand or grow in volume, the temperature is going to go down. Even though we're talking about it, it's going to be really hot right now, but as it comes down in the power stroke, the gases are going to expand and cool as they expand. Back to those gas laws again. Tricky question.